After Konami's Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater remake, the big question is simple: what's next for the Metal Gear franchise? Ever since Delta Snake Eater was officially revealed, fans have been speculating about Konami's long-term plans. Is this a one-off remake or the beginning of a much larger revival of the Metal Gear series? To understand what could come next, we need to go back a few years. In 2020, reports surfaced suggesting that Konami was quietly working on a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake behind the scenes, allegedly putting significant resources into early planning. At the time, these rumors created a lot of excitement, especially since Metal Gear Solid is one of the most iconic games ever made. However, according to Konami themselves, remaking the first Metal Gear Solid is a far more complicated task than remaking Snake Eater. In October 2026, Konami producer Noriaki Okamura addressed the future of Metal Gear remakes. While he didn't completely shut down the possibility of more remakes, he made one thing very clear: they won't be happening anytime soon. Okamura explained that remaking Metal Gear Solid 1, alongside the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2 titles that released on the MSX2 and Nintendo Entertainment System, would require the creation of a huge number of brand new gameplay systems, mechanics, and design elements. This stands in stark contrast to Metal Gear Solid 3. Snake Eater already had a strong foundation that could be enhanced using modern technology, its third-person camera level design, and core gameplay systems translated relatively well into a modern remake. That's why Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is widely described as a one-to-one remake with very little deviation from the original. In fact, some critics have even argued that Delta feels closer to a high and Unreal Engine remaster rather than a full remake. IGN famously described it in that way, although let's be honest, their opinions aren't always universally agreed upon. After all, they once gave Black Myth Wukong a 3 out of 10, so take that however you like. Jokes aside, the key issue here is complexity. The original Metal Gear Solid was a PlayStation 1 title. It used fixed camera angles, tank controls, and level design that was heavily constrained by the hardware of its time. Those design choices were revolutionary in 1998, but they don't translate easily to modern gaming standards. Snake Eater, on the other hand, was already far more advanced. Its mechanics, environments, and camera systems were built for the PlayStation 2 era, making it much easier to modernize without completely reinventing the game. To remake Metal Gear Solid 1 properly, Konami wouldn't just be upgrading visuals. They would need to rebuild the game almost entirely from scratch. Camera systems would need to be redesigned, controls modernized, levels restructured, and entire gameplay mechanics rethought to meet today's expectations. That's a monumental task. The technical leap from PS1 era game design to modern standards is far more dramatic than updating a PS2 era title. And that's exactly why Konami sees Metal Gear Solid 1 as a much more difficult project than Snake Eater. This also explains why Konami chose Metal Gear Solid 3 as the starting point for the franchise's revival. It's safer, more achievable, and less risky, especially for a company re-entering AA development after years away from major console releases. So, what does this mean for the future? Right now, it seems clear that Konami is taking things slowly and cautiously. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater is a test, a way to gauge fan reaction, rebuild trust, and prove that the franchise can still succeed without Hideo Kojima. If Delta performs well both critically and commercially, bet the chances of further remakes, including Metal Gear Solid 1, increase significantly. But make no mistake, if that remake ever happens, it will likely be a full reimagining, not a simple one-to-one recreation. For now though, patience is key. Let me know what you think. Would you want a faithful remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, or a complete reimagining for modern audiences? And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe for more news and updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.